Got to look at the elf shoes. I mean, the elf shoes are what sets it off, sets it different.
Rockers, man.
I can go to any Springer company in California, out of California, and the people that see that and know the chopper industry know that there ain't nothing out there except for Sugar Bear.
I'm standing here with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Sugar Bear.
Thank you.
And for those of you out there who don't know who Sugar Bear is, when you think of the iconic builders, the guys who got this whole trend started, the Ron Sims, the Pat Kennedys, the Donnie Smiths, the list, Arlen Ness. A name that doesn't always come up, but should, is Sugar Bear. I got to tell you a funny story, because I've known of this guy since I was a young man, and yet I'd never met him, I'd never seen him. And I walked up to him the other day and I looked at this kick-ass panhead he's sitting on, and I said, hey, you got a Sugar Bear front end on that? And he said, well, I hope so, I'm Sugar Bear. So man, I felt about that big. When you talk to Arlen or Donnie Smith or Pat Kennedy or Dave Perowitz or Ron Sin, any of these guys, they all know this man. And yet the people out in the motorcycle world, Sugar who, Sugar what, they don't, because he has chosen to just be his own man and do what he does. But in the industry, they all know of him, and that's what, this man is a humble guy. He likes doing what he does, and he can give Jack you know what about you knowing who he is. When I saw your first front end, the first thing that came to mind was, that is a cool looking front end, but I'll bet it just beats the dog snot out of you. It probably doesn't work. How well do your front ends perform?
Well, the word is from 8 to 80, one hand. Well, riding down the freeway, and was driving my car, and a guy passed on a chop with a girl leaning against a sissy bar, and she was reading a novel, leaning back against the bar, and I just thought it was awesome. So I looked up at her, and she flashed me the peace sign. And the next week, I went out and bought a motorcycle. I bought a 750 Honda. They were brand new. I think I bought the second one in Los Angeles. I was the first one to chop it. There was a company called Amen, and they started making the frame, so I went and got his prototype frame. And I made the oil tank and the battery box and all that kind of stuff, which later became his standard model. And I kept it for, I think, about a year and a half, and I sold it. And I put my first Harley together in '72. And I got into Springers because I bought a Springer from a guy, I put it on the bike, and it bowed from the weight of the Harley. So I took it back, and he told me I didn't know what I was doing, but he gave me another one. So of course, in 2 weeks, I was back with that one. So then, when I took the second one back to him, he just got really angry and said, well, if you're so smart, why don't you make your own then? And I said, okay. That's how I got started. I like simple bikes. I don't like a lot of twists. I don't like a lot of foo-for-all, and I don't like all the angles. I just like a nice, smooth bike. It has to be something that you like, something that makes you smile. It's got to make you smile, and if it ain't long, it's wrong. Yeah, that's what the ladies say, right? So, but you know, most guys, like I said, they'll make the same rocker for all the same lengths, and each time you make it longer, the trail changes, and as the trail gets uncontrollable, so does the bike. We used to have dances, dance contests. Yeah. We used to go down the freeway and see who could pull the wheel off the ground, at least 70 or so. And the guy that could get the wheel off the ground the most and the highest was the winner. I had a friend of mine moved out from Detroit, and the first time he rode with a bunch of us, we were going down the freeway, and we were just bouncing down the freeway like this. He could not believe it. He pulled all the way over into the first lane because he thought somebody was going down. He'd never seen anything like that before. And I've been told that the only place you see that is with the guys that have my springers. They're the only ones that do a lot of hopping all the time, and we can do it at speed, and the bike's under control, and it's a lot of fun. Depends on the torque of your bike more than anything, and being able to coordinate the bounce. When you hit the throttle the first time, when it comes up, as it comes down, you got to hit the throttle again, keep hitting it, then bang, it's up in the air. Then you just keep that going. Depends on how brave you are, how high you can go. Most of them think you can't ride them, but you can. It steers easier than a stock motorcycle. So it's great because when you turn the handlebars, the frame doesn't move, and the kickstand doesn't walk like on a stock motorcycle. So you're never fighting the weight of the bike. So all you're doing is just pivoting the front end without a whole lot of pressure on it. So as you ride, it gets easier naturally. So you can ride with one hand. You can, at 80, 85 miles an hour, you can drop one hand in your lap and just roll. Yeah, I got a guy out of Oceanside, friend of Rat's, and he built a bike for a guy who had this long glide front end, and it took him off the road because he was trying to handle it. And next time I saw him, they put one of my 30 overs on. The guy says he can drop his both hands at 100 miles an hour and just straight line, which I don't recommend, but you know, he says he used to do motocross and stuff like that, so he does wheelies and he's dropping his hands in triple digits. And I said, well, that's great.